So the other day I was talking to Sam and he asked me a very interesting question. What do I think is more impressive, a 300 kilo deadlift or a 180 kilo bench? So I've only done one of those things and it's taken me a bloody long time to get that, but it did get me questioning what is more impressive. So I'm going to be going into the gym today and doing neither of those movements because I've got squats today, but I'm going to talk to some of the guys at the gym and see what they think. Right, let's get these squats out of the way. Alright, let's find out what people think is more impressive. What's more impressive, a 300 kilo deadlift or a 180 bench?
180 bench.
180 bench, okay.
I'd think about that. Yeah. 300 deadlift, right?
Yeah.
Or a 180 bench. Definitely 180.
That's what I think, yeah. What's more impressive, a 300 kilo deadlift or a 180 bench?
Well, the fact I've only done one, probably the bench.
So you think it's more impressive to do a 180 bench?
Yeah, I can do 200 and I don't deadlift. So to get to 300, it's not like impossible.
Yeah?
At any body weight.
Any body weight.
What do you think is an objectively strong deadlift?
What do I think an objectively strong?
See someone deadlift person and you're like, they are a very strong individual. Regardless of what form they use or anything.
If I see someone doing 250, I'm like, they've got a really good deadlift. Yeah. And the thing above that, I'm like, you've got a good deadlift. If I see someone benching 140, I'm like, they've got a good bench.
Do you feel like people can hit 250 though without being that big? Because I'm saying it has to be that you're like...
No, I feel like you can actually be a lot leaner and still do a 250 deadlift.
What about like with the kabuki bar, figure eight?
Yeah.
Well, it's leverage. It's not even like pure like weight.
Yeah.
It's like an arched bench. If you saw someone like the most extreme arch you've ever seen do 180, you'd still be like,
that's pretty good.
That's alright, but like,
yeah.
do it without the arch.
Alright.
Oh, that's a tough question. Conventional or sumo?
I haven't even thought about that. George, do you want to wade in on this argument?
I'd always say the deadlift.
You think a 300 kilo deadlift is more impressive than a 180 bench?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it depends on the weight class, but I think generally
overall,
across the board.
Irregardless of weight classes.
If someone said they could deadlift 300 kilos, I'd be like, damn.
Okay. Right, we've got one on the board for the deadlift.
I think we need a debate.
That's what this is. This is the debate.
It's difficult. I mean,
what is more impressive, a 300 kilo deadlift or a 180 bench?
I'm going to stick with 300 kilo deadlift.
Okay.
I think technically deadlift is a harder movement, and if you stick to it, you know, power bar, straps, no bumpers,
yeah,
it's harder. Less percentage of lifters would get it over a longer period of time.
Okay. Yeah. That's really good reasoning.
Yeah.
So if it's like very specific, like good rules, good standards for both lifts, you think 300 kilos is harder?
Yeah. And I think deadlift by itself is an inherently harder movement. So
yeah.
I think to the highest standard of lifting there could be,
yeah,
referees, whatever, if you want to take it that far,
yeah,
I think less lifters over a period of time would get it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Nice.
I know more people that can deadlift 300
than can bench 180.
Yeah. But
what is more impressive, a 300 kilo deadlift or a 180 bench? In your opinion?
I'd say 180 bench.
A 180 bench, okay.
It's not often that you see someone do it, it's the thing, like a 300 deadlift is
more common.
More common, 180 bench I've only seen a few people do.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. I'm in the same boat as you. Thanks, mate.
General gym goer that isn't a powerlifter, I think is more likely to bench 4 plates than deadlift 300 because you get some avid benchers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, but I'm thinking if I walk into a gym, which one am I more impressed by? And I still can't decide. I don't know.
Right, so Tom's on the fence with that one. So I forgot that I am actually benching today, but definitely not 180 kilos. Fucking hell, that was all over the place.
I'm gonna go 180 bench. My reasoning is I think there's more people with like just such good leverages for deadlift that they get 300 quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas bench is like kind of hard to hit 180 without having like a significant amount of muscle.
That's a really good.
That's my point. I don't know. It's still impressive.
Yeah. So a 180 bench.
I think.
All right.
Yeah.
It is so hot. If you were to give me a list of all the things that I would least want to do right now, deadlifting and benching in a hot, sweaty gym would be top of that list. But that's exactly what I'm going to go and do now. Just taking this cold air for as long as possible. Right, let's go and get ready. I feel like this is rather important today. The hydration station. And because energy levels are pretty sapped, we're going full scoop of pre today. Boom. Let's get this down and get to the gym. And obviously we've had a few discussions there from the guys in the gym whether they think a 300 kilo deadlift is more impressive than a 180 bench. I'll give you my thoughts when I'm back from the gym. Nice Leffe non-alcoholic blonde beer. Oh, that is perfect after the gym. So I was going to talk about my opinion on 300 kilos versus a 180 bench. However, having done a little bit of research, I've actually managed to find a document which has every single IPF lifter and their lifts. So it's actually got 1.3 million rows on the spreadsheet. So I realised I should probably actually do a little bit more research to try and find how many people have actually done a 180 bench versus a 300 kilo deadlift, just so I can compare the two to see how common each one is. So I'm not going to have time to do that tonight, and to be honest with you, I just want to chill. So I'll talk about it tomorrow. Oh, that's so nice. 1.3 million. No wonder it took so long to download.
Yeah.
I'll actually be able to search for my name here.
Well.
How do I do it? Command F? There we go.
Yeah, then.
Matthew Greenhouse. It's probably going to take forever to, it's going to like crash my
It does
laptop.
have 1 million and something, and now your laptop's found 5 viruses. Brilliant.
Oh, so if I look like death, that is because I've spent nearly 4 hours on the golf course today and hay fever has kicked my arse. But I thought I'd talk through what my thoughts are on the 300 kilo deadlift versus the 180 bench. And I have just spent about 3 hours trying to find some data from the IPF data sheets that I was showing you yesterday, but because there's literally hundreds of thousands of competitors, every time I try and actually find what I'm looking for, it just crashes my laptop. So I'm not able to find that, but I will persevere with that, and I will put some information up around that if people are interested to find out exactly how many people have benched 180 kilos in the IPF versus how many people have deadlifted 300 kilos, because I am interested to see which one is more prevalent. But just going to give my general thoughts on what I think is more impressive. Having discussed it with the lads the other day in the gym, they all came up with some really good, interesting points, and I realised there's a lot of nuances to it in terms of what equipment you're lifting on, in terms of stance and technique and things like that. But I'm kind of thinking it from the point of view of if we're keeping pretty strict rules, and for me the IPF probably do have the strictest rules in terms of powerlifting anyway, but if we're branching away from that and just thinking purely about your average gym goer, what's more impressive, I don't know. I keep fluctuating between the two. I'm basically doing what Tom was doing and just keep changing my mind, because he made a really good point that I think the bigger you are, the more likely you are to actually bench 180 kilos, because I feel like the deadlift is a very technical movement, and I feel like you don't need to be necessarily too big to deadlift 300 kilos. But for me, I have to say I do think it is probably still more impressive to bench 180 kilos, and that might just be down to the fact that that for me is a movement which is just, or is a number that's so far away from my bench press compared to the deadlift. I've equally been trying to increase both my deadlift and my bench, and my deadlift is the one that's got to 300 before I've got to a 180 kilo bench. So I think leverage and anatomy has a big part to play with if you're going to achieve one or the other, if you're trying to equally go for both of those. And for me, obviously the 300 kilo I got first, and I think that's because I am built to deadlift more so than bench press. So that being said, I have also had a look on a few websites just to try and gauge which seemed more impressive. And there was a website that looked at elite levels of strength, and it mentioned, as I think a 93 kilo lifter, you are considered elite if you are benching 180 kilos, but you are considered elite if you're only deadlifting 266 kilos, which shows that actually it's harder to get to 300, because if you get obviously 300 versus 260, that's a lot more impressive. So basically their argument is it's easier to bench 100 kilos than it is to deadlift 300 kilos. So that's just one website which looked at the comparability of the two. But yeah, for me it really is a difficult one, but I think you just basically have to go off your own personal experience. And for me, it's the fact that 180 kilos on the bench just feels so far away for me compared to a 300 kilo deadlift. So I think what I've learned, having spent a few days talking to different people about this, is there is no right or wrong answer for this. I think both numbers are very strong in their own right and big numbers to try and achieve. And I don't think one is any harder to get than the other. And I do think it does come down to your leverage, how you're built, as to whether you are actually going to achieve that, and your goals as well. So if you put more focus into the bench, obviously you're more likely to bench 180. If you put more focus into your deadlift, you're obviously more likely to deadlift 300 kilos. But ultimately it comes down to what is the most impressive, not what is the most achievable, what is the most impressive. And I definitely think it's the bench. Just having 4 plates aside on the bench just looks amazing compared to, 7 plates aside on the deadlift looks great, but just having 4 plates aside on the bench is crazy. I remember the first time I deadlifted 180 kilos, and I never thought, oh, maybe I will bench this one day, but I have had the thoughts of deadlifting 300 kilos. Like, that felt like it was achievable for a long time, but for me, a 180 kilo bench has never kind of felt achievable. And again, it could be that it's just a subjective thing because I'm built more to deadlift, but I just think it's more impressive to see a 180 kilo bench.
I agree.
Lois agrees, and she's done neither of them.
Ouch.
But yeah, I'm going to pretty much sign out the video there, guys. I'm a bit gutted that I didn't get some of the data from that IPF database, but it's literally just so huge. But I'll put a link down below if you guys want to try and persevere and have a look through that yourself. I will continue to try and find that, so in the next video, if I do get it together, then I will find that, because it's literally got everything, every single lifter, single ply wraps, raw, full power, bench only, everything, and every single competition that's ever been done and ever recorded, all in this big database, which is why it's just taken so long to find all of the information and sort it all out. But on there you will see how many people have done what lifts, so I want to try and sort out between the two. But yeah, I'm going to sign out the video there, guys. Put your comments down below. I really want to know what you think, and give me your reasons why you think one way or the other. Is it a 300 kilo deadlift or is it a 180 bench? Let me know, put it in the comments, because I'll be interested to see what people think. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up the video there, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a like if you have, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.